Good evening and welcome to Pruned and Bearing Fruit. My name is Jeremy Reiser and I'm the founder and artistic director of the Academy of Sacred Drama. We're delighted that you could join us this evening and we hope you enjoy the program. I designed tonight's program to recognize the challenges of the ongoing pandemic. Even before the spread of COVID-19, our society was wrestling with our adoption of new technologies. The digital world disseminated information and brought a social connection of sorts, but also spawned a pandemic of isolation and loneliness and challenged universal narratives of truth and fiction. In the midst of these troubling times, we have to decide who we want to be on the other side. As we plead for redemption from our ills, we must position ourselves to connect with our neighbor through charity, worship, and culture. Tonight's program follows the arc of the pandemic from life as normal to the recognition of our need to a future that we cannot yet quite see. We start with movements from a trio sonata by Handel in D major and move on to short airs performed by Chloe Fedor on violin. This is the life as normal portion of the program, not perfectly tranquil, but without a world-halting interruption. A che troppo features our soprano soloist, Margaret Carpenter Haig. It represents the recognition of our need in the face of a global health crisis and a pandemic of loneliness. In this Marian hymn, we implore the star of peace to shine her grace on the world. A movement from a trio sonata in E major follows the pleading of the previous cantata and leads us on to the excerpt from an oratorio by Alessandro Scarlatti that represents the moment of redemption. In the oratorio, Hagar and Ishmael are banished by Abraham and almost die in the desert. But a winged messenger from God, an angel, draws a stream from the rocks and quenches their thirst. The angel offers hope when they have hit rock bottom. The theme of redemption continues into New Sound World of a sonata by Costello, which represents that future which we cannot quite see. And we finish with Marula's Favus Distillans, which continues the theme of redemptive grace with an excerpt from the Song of Solomon. Your lips, my bride, drip sweetness like the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under your tongue, and the fragrance of your garments is like the aroma of Lebanon. Before we begin, I'm so pleased to have our soprano soloist here with us, the wonderful Margaret Carpenter Haig. Margaret, thank you for joining us and participating in the program this evening. Margaret just moved to New York City right before the start of the pandemic, and so she's settling in a very unusual time in the city. And I think she's most recently from Charlotte, North Carolina. She tells me she runs an ensemble and also specializes in physical gesture for singers. So perhaps you could tell us just a little bit about those two things. Margaret, let me stop you for just a second. It looks like we can't hear you yet again. So give me 1 second to try to recapture you. Actually, we're going to move your portion to the end of the program now and just start the other ones, and we'll come back to you. Thank you, Margaret. Sorry about that. We'll start with the Handel on D major. everybody. Before we launch back into the program, I want to let you know that we are taking Discord questions over the course of this production. So please, if you have the opportunity, let us know your questions. Margaret and I will take them at the end, and Margaret will actually be, if we have, with any luck, Margaret will be speaking at the end as well. So we're looking forward to getting your questions. And sorry we didn't have her right away at the beginning. Let us know.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, so we'll move on to the next one. And
rester crudel.
And that was a hopeful message that I hope we can all enjoy today. This is our last chance right now for questions from Discord. So if you have any of those, check the description, whether you're watching on Give Butter or on YouTube. You can log into Discord pretty easily that way by following the link. But now let's get briefly back to Margaret, and she can tell us a little bit of the background behind that musical magic that she does on stage. Margaret, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your projects?
Sure. Well, my background is somewhat varied. I have certainly done a lot of early music. My doctorate is in historical performance practice, and I've looked particularly into physical gesture in the madrigal repertory of the Ferrarese Concerto delle Donne in late 16th century Ferrara. And that has gotten me really interested in how singers use their bodies to communicate. We're very interested in learning how to articulate things with our mouths through language and text and our vocal technique, but I'm particularly interested in how our whole body functions to communicate sentiment. So that's certainly harder to do with a mask on, but we try right now. Jeremy mentioned that I came from Charlotte, North Carolina. My husband, Nicholas, and I co-direct an ensemble there called l'Académie du Roi Soleil, which was founded in 2013 and initially pretty much devoted to French Baroque music, and we've since opened our wings a little bit and done some different projects, done Buxtehude, done some Italian music, done some 20th century English choral music, and I'm also very involved in an ensemble in Charlotte called Bach Academy Charlotte. I'm their director of artistic planning, so still have a lot of roots in the Charlotte area, but I'm delighted to be here in New York City. I sing with the choir of Trinity Wall Street, and I'm really happy to be a part of this program and look forward to more musical adventures in this wonderful city. So thanks so much for having me, Jeremy.
It's wonderful to have you, Margaret, and it's a great addition to New York City. And we don't have a lot of French Baroque music either. Maybe other people would say I'm wrong on this count, but I don't think there's a lot of French Baroque music going on in the New York City area. So be wonderful to have a little bit of those. Maybe we should do an academy program with you on one of those.
Sounds great.
That'd be great. Let me grab a question very briefly from Discord. Uh, they would want to know, how do you know when to transcribe an organ part versus other instruments? So you might have seen on the broadcast tonight we had a theorbo, which is the guitar-looking instrument with a really long neck, and we also had viola da gamba, which is a cello sort of looking instrument, and then also a full-scale organ. And in many cases, unless it's specifically notated, there's room for some variety, some options in your continuo group. So all those instruments would be part of the continuo group. They're reading from the bottom line of the music, and they're to some extent improvising above that line to be able to make the chords and to make it sound with emotion that happens at that moment in the text or in the musical number. So sometimes you get to choose, other times it says it pretty specifically, and sometimes the music might give you hints about whether or not something deserves one instrument or another based upon how it's written and what the strengths of that instrument actually are. Like an organ can sustain, of course, while a plucked instrument, the moment you pluck it, the note dies away after a little while. And the same thing's true on the harpsichord. When we use a harpsichord for performances, it also plucks the string like a guitar. And the second question was what the really tall string instrument was called, and I just addressed that as the theorbo. And if anyone else has questions, we're always happy to answer them on Discord. Before we go tonight, I did want to invite you to join our mailing list, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I'm really hoping that if you haven't done one of those, please, after the performance today, please do one of those. Just check one of those off your list, and that way we can be in touch with you without having to advertise to you, because we know you already want to hear from us, and we really appreciate that. So also upcoming later this month or beginning of March, we have a production of a lecture by Charlie Weaver called "The Mass as Sacred Drama," and he's going to talk about Latin liturgical music and contextualizing that for concert audiences. So it's going to be an interesting exploration. I'm looking forward to what he has to say. And he gave the wonderful last talk at our last oratorio, which was widely acclaimed and really helped draw some context for what we were doing on music before 1800 in that case. Finally, we'd like to thank BY Wound Care Internal Medicine for sponsoring our season again. We appreciate the support, and we do encourage anybody who could possibly sponsor an event or a performer in the coming year, send us an email. You can contact us on the sacreddrama.org website, and we always we value your support, and as we try to expand our impact, we really need your support. So please consider it and send us an email if you're able to. So thanks again, Margaret, for a wonderful time making music with you and being here with us this evening. It really was a blast. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good night, everyone. It's wonderful to share this music with you. Until next time.